In your opinion, should these people be allowed to live?
No.
Thank you. Gentlemen of the press, the verdict is death. But first, due to the magnitude of these capital crimes, these two people must be humiliated in front of the media. Use these pictures, gentlemen, and use them wisely. We have an example to set. Let the good people of this country know that they cannot fuck with divine and get away with it. Let them know that we are indeed the filthiest people alive.
Welcome back to another episode of The Harbor. I'm your host, the Kino Cowboy. I'm here with Casher, and today we're talking a little John Waters action, Pink Flamingos. This was something I forced Casher to watch for the podcast, and sometimes you got to get a little filth in your system, I think.
Yep, I got filtered.
Whether you like this movie or not doesn't matter. The fact that it exists is important.
No, I get that for sure. Yeah, never again am I gonna fucking watch this, I don't think.
Really?
I think this was a one and done for me. I have a weak stomach, as notoriously I've thrown up in many a movie in our childhood. And this shouldn't have eaten dinner while watching this.
Yeah, Pink Flamingos is a notoriously aggressively offensive film. And so much so that John Waters describes it, the film itself, he describes it as an exercise in bad taste. And that really just summarizes what the movie is. It's engineered to offend people. But it's even so, it's not contrived. It's very much Waters wanting to make a crazy fucking movie.
No, it's all intentional for sure.
Yeah, but like it's not stupid, like shock for shock value. Well, for the most part, it's like
I think it has a lot of shock for shock value, personally, but that may just be because I don't get it as well as other people.
No, it's nothing to get.
Fucking a woman, raping a woman with a live chicken between them.
We'll talk about that in a second.
That's there's just a lot of parts where like I draw the line and then I would be like, I gotta finish it.
Yeah, you do draw the line. You find yourself drawing the line, and then you're like, do I draw the line or am I just a fucking lame-o?
I'm just a fucking normal. I felt that the entire movie. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna get.
What's funny is that when I watched this younger, I didn't flinch at it, and now I'm watching it as an older guy, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, I forgot. Like some of this is very offensive, but it's straight counterculture. Think of how watered down 60s cinema was in America.
No, it's an absolute
1972,
mm-hmm.
And Waters made it for only $10,000. Pretty good. And it's very clear how it's counterculture because the soundtrack uses a lot of like 50s and 60s doo-wop playing over all this fucked up shit, and you can tell it's like it very purposely like clashes against the grease that you're witnessing, and I find that really fascinating because Waters genuinely likes music like that. He loves Little Richard. Like
he directed Hairspray.
Exactly. Like, that's funny because that's like one of the few movies of his that isn't rated X.
Dude, it seriously like mind boggles me because I've seen a couple other John Waters films and none of them are quite nearly as depraved as his fucking Pink Flamingos. It's cool.
It's cool though, like that audiences in Baltimore really got into it. Like the midnight movie circuit, which I wish was at least not around here. That's what the problem is, that I live in a city where there is no film culture. You just go to watch the new movie.
Just want to give a shout out real quick. We are starting to really embrace the film culture where I live now. And now every Friday at one of the busier epicenters of town, they show films that are made by local creators, Arkansas creators. I just found that out a couple days ago, and you just reminded me of it. I'm sure if you wanted to submit something, you could. By the way.
Yeah, I would love to be a part of that because there's nothing where I am and it bums me out when every time we review like a midnight movie, like we were talking about Santa Sangre, go check that episode out. Jodorowsky. Well, that's the thing is like El Topo was out at the time. That was a real popular one, and that's an acid western, as people will say. It's real crazy, and so they were really pairing it up with El Topo because they figured, well, if you can dig El Topo, you can probably be more open-minded to this movie, and they were right because it ended up getting a lot of like kind of like how Rocky Horror is, where you get like everyone getting rowdy and shit.
Oh yeah.
But it was and then of course because Waters is gay and it's LGBT kind of movie, drag queen and all that. It would have what they would call downtown gays that would come in, the rowdier types and stuff, and so it started getting that notoriety. I think that's what really started to make it blow up and spread around.
Well, plus you had Divine as the star, who
Yeah.
outside of RuPaul is probably the most iconic drag queen of recent memory for entertainment purposes, anyway.
Yeah, and
Dirty bitch. Oh my god.
yeah, Divine, who he does go by he pronouns, by the way.
Yeah, he's not
outside.
trans, he's just a drag
No,
queen.
he's just a drag queen. Some people get confused about that.
Coke Zero Break, we're sponsored.
Yeah. Oh no. I used to never drink soda at all, ladies and gentlemen, and anyone in between listening. I from 2014 to like 2018, I drank no sodas at all. And then from 2018 to 2022, I drank LaCroix constantly every day, which is just sparkling water. So, but you could consider it a
Sody pop.
soda, I guess, even though it's just water. Then I was like, I miss Coke so bad. And then someone told me that Coke Zero Sugar, they changed the recipe in the last few years and now it tastes closer to Coke. Please sponsor us, Coke Zero, even though you're a shitty company.
Yeah, no, I
But,
would gladly be okay with it.
and then I tried it and I was like, fuck, you know what? I'm gonna decide that aspartame is probably not gonna give me cancer. I'm gonna enjoy Coke again. So that's the Coke lore for me. I'm sure everyone was real interested to hear about it. But this wasn't all today. This was over my weekends. I'm not a complete fiend, but hey, 0 calories. What are you gonna do?
I'm not gonna lie, I've had 2 fucking Coke Zeros today, and I'm gonna keep drinking them because they're 0 fucking calories. I don't
That's the
care.
thing. I'm not a coffee drinker. People give me shit because I don't like coffee. That's just how I am. Occasionally, I'll drink a black coffee if I'm really desperate and there's not Coke around. Coke Zero. But yeah, that's my old cup of Joe, Coke Zero. So
I get called a fiend all the time because the first thing I want when I wake up, before I brush my teeth, before I drink water, it's a Coke fucking
yeah,
Zero.
that's demented. Don't do that. You need to get up as soon as you get up. You need to drink a tall glass of water, and that'll start your system right up.
A cold glass of ice cold Coke Zero and a cigarette. That's all I need.
What's interesting about Divine is that he was up until Pink Flamingos came out, he had kept his underground cinema shit that he was acting in a secret from his conservative parents, and he was living off of them and like using their money and shit, and they had no idea about this stuff somehow. And but then he like started spending too much of their money and he started writing bad checks and shit like that, and that's how they started to figure shit out. And then like right after, or either right before or right after Pink Flamingos started to come out in 1972, he like dipped from them and like didn't see them for like 9 years, which I
I
guess
don't blame him.
yeah, that's how it is, being gay or drag or whatever in 70s. It's hard.
This is this is like at the heat of like San Francisco and hate
Yeah,
factory and all that stuff becoming a haven for it.
it's not only hard then, now it's getting just as hard.
It sucks to see.
The drag, specifically the drag section of LGBT is getting really pounded on and focused on by homophobic conservatives today. I'm sure if you watch this, you might know that already, but this might be a time capsule in the future. Who knows? But
To say the harbor supports all our LGBTQ people.
of course, yeah.
Fucking
Go watch
drag
our
queens specifically are the shit.
yeah. I've been to a ton of drag shows that they are really fun. But yeah, go watch our episode on Funeral Parade of Roses. I talk more in depth about that. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. And the actual movie, you can tell they have that little set. It's not really a set. It's just like, okay, we have this trailer out here, so we're gonna film in it. And the cast and crew, the whole time we're making this movie, they're everyone's constantly smoking weed and smoking cigarettes and like doing amphetamines, and so shit's getting kind of crazy. And they, like most films at the time, they had heavily like practiced their scenes beforehand off of the set, which is, you know, low budget. You only have so much film you can afford. You don't want to waste film, so that's of course doable, but that's probably why they were able to do that on drugs easily, is because it was so well rehearsed. But it also adds to the greasiness, which I
Well, I
like.
was gonna say, amphetamines have a tendency to, like, when you're on a heavy amount of them, you'll lose breath and like while you're talking, and it'll seem like you're almost jittery and everything like that. And you can kind of see that with a few characters in this, especially what's the old lady's that sits in the fucking crib's name?
Yeah, her mom, Edie or whatever.
Yeah, the woman who's like, eggs, I want
Yeah,
eggs.
which that's pretty much like the beginning, is her greasy ass, gross ass mom who's not all there, like sitting in a baby bed, half undressed, obsessed with eggs. How the fuck do you
It's
come up with that's disgusting? Like that alone is like horrid.
and she's wearing like lingerie that like barely fits her, and she's like got a shitty makeup on, and like she looks like she's drenched in sweat. And it's just crazy that that's how you begin this. That's like an immediate filter for so many people.
Yeah, and it's like a nightmare. And he he and David Lynch are kind of alike in kind of creating these real out there scenarios and characters that just like are surreal, even if not that like hard to suspend your disbelief. But like he Lynch doesn't really do drugs like Waters, but
No,
I know Waters championed for Eraserhead when it came out and was like spreading the word about that, but this is before Eraserhead. But he's also a big fan of Twin Peaks and stuff. So um anyway, but that's why I like this movie, is just how surrealist it actually gets while being cartoonish and over the top. You're not supposed to take it seriously. And
no.
it's almost like if you do get offended of it, then I don't know.
Like,
What I'm
this
trying to say,
wasn't for you. Like that wasn't a thing.
yeah, like
I
it's
can't
okay. Like
say
it's okay to get a little offended here and there. Like it's not.
this was more gross than offensive
Yeah,
to
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
Like I love the premise of it, like the concept of like competing filthisms and like undermining who can be the filthiest. I mean,
That's the plot.
it's like we made the fucking Moon Men. It's like Moon Men out greases most greasy boys.
That's what I'm saying, is like I there's no way I can rightfully be offended at this movie when I made a fucking gross out movie, like a Grease movie too.
Yeah.
If you liked this movie, I will shamelessly plug our movie Moon Men. It's fucking out there. We made it when I was like 20, 21. It's got a little tiny, very, 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 very tiny cult following online. Go check that out. You might call me a micro celeb. No, I'm just kidding. No, but that's fucking rewatching this. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't see Flamingos till after I made Moon Men. And
That's kind of insane that
every
you
time I watch movies like this, it's very vindicating because I get really self-conscious sometimes about some of the greasier shit that I filmed, like the Coke party in the movie, and fucking Jess's asshole and just stuff like that. And I'm like, well, you know, like people have made grosser shit and championed it. People were going ape shit over this movie in the 70s. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, no, this is imagine though you're a conservative and you stumble upon this movie in theater and have never really been introduced to any kind of thing like this. That's all I could think of. I was like, this is the 70s where I had a conversation with someone who was like, yeah, gay people weren't as there wasn't as big of a population back then. I was like, well, if you think that, imagine the conservative back in the 70s that somehow stumbles upon this and is just fucked over it, you know? Like it's got such a like you said, counterculture idea to society.
Yeah.
Because not only is like Divine this gross criminal, she's kind of championed and like fucking celebrated for it.
Of course. Yeah.
Which is fucked.
This movie, yeah, it's a fuck you to sanitized, socially acceptable cinema and culture. So I have to respect it on that. Even though yeah, I don't care if it's not for you, you know. I'm not saying the whole thing's for me, but I do like I like it a lot actually.
There's a lot of great scenes in it.
Yeah, like it's some of it's just so absurd that to me it's silly if you were to be offended by it. Like it's just so over the top, other than the chicken scene, I will say. But that like the sex slaves in the fucked up basement.
The baby market that they run, and then what Raymond, he earns money by like jerking off in front of people with like the way they describe it is a large kielbasa sausage or turkey neck tied to his penis.
Yeah, it's like
just
it's so obviously stupid. Like in the basement, it's almost like a Tim and Eric sketch on fucking meth or something, or like a YouTube sketch or something. Yeah. Like it's so stupid. And he walks around. Yeah, you get some like out in public shit, which is cool.
Fucking gnarly.
Like Divine just walking around, people are like gawking at her. That's not staged. That's like actual people being like, who the fuck is this?
Well, she goes to that meat market at the beginning and buys that shitty slab of beef and shoves it right into her crotch. And I'm just like, I have no idea where the fuck this is going.
And then, yeah, she grills it later for lunch or whatever. Gnarly, dude. Hey, I forget he like, marbles the dude. I forgot his first name. But yeah, he has his dick out with the sausage and shit. Cause
fucking so
they're
weird.
They're trying to be out filthy Divine. Cause that's the whole plot of the movie. We're the filthiest people on earth, not you. That's so funny to me.
It's such a crazy fun concept, and then like the amount that they push this fucking film to do that. Again, it was not something I should have fucking watched while I was eating my dinner with my
no, it is actually make you gross. There is one scene that to me does go too far, and it is when he's assaulting that chick with the chicken.
Yeah,
it's a real chicken, and I do get uncomfortable during that scene, and that is too much. But then again, I figured out that they asked the chicken farm next door if they could use one of their chickens for the movie, and that the chicken that they used was going to be slaughtered that day anyway. So as fucked as that scene is, and I can barely watch it because it's just
it's super fucked up.
As fucked as that scene is, they cooked the chicken and the crew ate it right after that shoot. Which is fucking insane. But also, I don't know, man. I eat chicken every fucking goddamn day. I've probably eaten thousands of chickens in my lifetime, so I don't think I personally have the right to get upset. Me. And they were also all fucked up on drugs while shooting. Not that that justifies it, but I will say that is an insane fucking thing. I don't know, like it's almost better that it was about to be killed, but the fact that they cooked it and ate it after that scene is
that's fucked. It's like,
so
well,
funny.
You imagine like that time. That was the same time where Ozzy's biting the head off a bat and throwing it in the crowd, or like when Alice Cooper had one of his shows and someone threw a chicken on stage and he ripped it to fucking shreds on stage.
Yeah,
Like, animal abuse.
animal abuse was definitely not as frowned upon for some reason back then.
Like Cannibal Holocaust. How many
Yeah.
fucking animals died in that?
I remember kids would tell me about that movie in middle school, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought they were the most depraved, evil
Oh, yeah.
individuals for watching
Those
that
were always the trailer park kids that had a bunch of knives at home, like
watching their
unconventional
dads,
knives.
yeah, watching their dad's VHS and shit.
Yeah, dude. Somehow have a Playboy at 12 years old and it's just old and crusty.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, in like 7th grade, those crusty ass kids would like tell me sex positions when I
Oh
knew
yeah,
stuff.
I was part of those crusty
I was
kids.
like, I didn't even know what a condom was. Yeah, like,
no, there's a lot of stuff in here that really. The one thing that made me fucking really just. It's not that I dislike this movie. That this is a movie I will probably never watch again. Is the eating the feces? Like,
yeah, but that's like one of the most like talked about iconic.
It's iconic.
I can't really watch. I have to kind of like do
Nope,
this.
I wasn't expecting it, and they did that, and I paused and I about yacked. I can't deal with. So you should know this about me. I can't deal with body fluids on fucking screen besides blood, because usually that's like really, it's stylized thing like that. This was every body fluid fucking imagine. There's puke, vomit, hiss, fucking cum, like. I'm surprised
I can't do
boogers in it.
I can't do body fluids in real life. Like if someone gets saliva on me, I don't like dog saliva, shit like that. I could never like I could like if my mom like went like into a vegetable state or something, I couldn't wipe her ass, I would throw up. But I'm just saying like it's shit's gross. But like in film I'm fine with it except for shit eating. I can't watch that.
Also, there's a fucking prolapse in this movie. God damn it. It's too much.
That's I
can't do prolapse.
Okay, the coolest thing about this movie is that this movie has a guy spreading his fucking asshole for an extended period of time, close up on his asshole. This movie starts with a Criterion logo at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's the coolest fucking baller shit in the world, dude.
Yeah, I forgot that it started. Yeah, I totally forgot.
Nothing cooler to me than that. Like this has spread asshole.
This movie's in the Library of Congress. It's
it's a registered fucking
next to Shrek.
Yeah, next to Shrek, it's a guy fucking spreading his fucking cheeks. That's cool as hell. Like,
yeah, I guess
awesome.
A loose term of cool. This is it's definitely groundbreaking. It's like pushing the envelope of censorship and pushing the envelope of what is going to be released and successful. Like this is a massive cult film. I can't imagine anybody watching this all the time, and I don't think I'd want to be friends with anybody who does.
No, it's not a movie I want to watch all the time, but like every couple of years, it's like, oh, you haven't seen this movie? I'm going to show you this movie.
I don't even think I want to like torment someone with that. I don't have to.
Not that bad.
Oh man,
it's funny.
This is one of the most vulgar things I've ever watched.
Yeah, but that's why it's beautiful to me.
I guess, yeah, no, I mean, it's like I said, it's not a bad movie by any means, and I understand its artistic merit. I am just too much of a fucking normie to watch some guy spread his asshole for 15 minutes on screen.
You don't have to look at it. I only looked at it like halfway. I kind of put my hands up sometimes in certain.
Well, it's like he's like flexing his prolapsed asshole, surfing bird.
Yeah. How do they clear the music? How do they clear the rights?
There's no way that he fucking did. There's no fucking way.
It's like it's credited. It's on the soundtrack somehow.
What?
That's fucking crazy.
He's got to have some kind of in. I do know that like a lot of these guys and people that work together on this film, they're all just like part of like John Waters' crew.
Yeah.
Of like denizens, and maybe they had an in because I know a couple of them were like gay porn stars, and surprisingly, gay porn stars were really popular in the 70s. You can read about a few of them that were like legendary individuals in the scene who were gone a lot earlier than you would think.
Yeah.
Not from AIDS, from like drugs and being fucking gangsters, honestly.
Yeah. But
would you go to a birthday party, like Divine's birthday party?
Hell yeah. But also
Yeah.
like the running joke of Edie eating boiled eggs, that alone makes me nauseous. She's just like constant egg eating, and like she likes eating eggs so much that she gets paranoid. She's like worried about it, like whether or not they'll have eggs, dude.
The fact that they have a character
Disgusting.
called the Eggman in
The
this,
Eggman, yeah,
who
he's
comes
cool.
in with a briefcase and has them all like color coded. And she's like, I want 2 of the big fat white ones and 2 of the big fat brown ones. Like, give me some fucking eggs.
And see, that's all part of the absurdist shit. Like John Waters, he would go, he would take acid and go see a bunch of movies all the time, and then it turned into like him even being on acid while shooting this movie. And I'm like, how the fuck did you do that?
I've been on substances while filming your films.
Yeah, but like in the director's seat, there's a lot you have to account for. And being on acid while shooting a movie is insane, but it also makes sense for shit like the
Acid's a little
Eggman.
bit more different than mushrooms in terms of psychedelic stuff. There's a little bit you can, I think personally, and it just depends on the person, you can genuinely work better or work more soundly closer to what your vision is by being on acid. Mushrooms, on the other hand, is going to be like you're going to look at it and you're going to be insecure.
Yeah, yeah.
Acid kind of gives you like I'm 100 feet tall, I can lift 60,000 tons type confidence. So I don't know. Diplo just ran a fucking marathon on like 4.5 tabs of acid.
That's funny.
He said it was easy. He didn't train at all for it.
I know. It's just like it's insane to think that he was, but and even now he's into his 70s. He says he still recreationally uses acid all the time. I'm like, wow,
That's fucking based as fuck.
yeah, but like he would go see Fellini movies like 8.5 and stuff with his friends and stuff like that, just on acid all the time. And it's like, okay, that makes sense because a lot of this is absurdist humor ahead of its time, really. Like a lot of stuff I watch on Adult Swim now, it just now is kind of similar, especially when they're licking all of the stuff in the Marbles home, and
Yeah.
then all that stuff comes alive and rejects them or whatever. That's such a far out fucking concept. So funny to me.
Herman.
Experimental humor. But also but also there's traditional humor, like when the mailman shows up to bring the turd in the box. Divine's like shook because like she doesn't have an address or whatever, and she like freaks when they get a knock on the door, and she's immediately like, Cotton, there's a gun right there, you know how to use it. And the delivery on that's so fucking funny because it's just like you didn't see the gun there, and suddenly Cotton pulls it up, and it's just really good delivery. And
Devon's the shit, genuinely. I do want to say there's a lot of like these characters remind me a lot of the characters from fucking Freaks.
oh yeah, fair.
Old school. I mean, they have a very like Edie reminds me a lot of like the fucking baby men that they have in that fucking movie that scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, and Freaks is a movie that John Waters probably fucking loved.
Probably on fucking acid, which is not a movie I would see in theaters on acid. I wouldn't watch this movie on acid whatsoever, but Freaks is another one where I'd be like scared.
Yeah.
It's fucking
and but also it's Divine's performance that really brings a lot to this movie on its own. Like
it's the best.
He gets the character, and Divine just like the way the dialogue is written, it just complements her expressive style. Like she's just like screaming like someone sent me a bowel movement, and it's like every way, I don't know, the way she talks, it makes the movie to me.
Well, there's it's like iconic to the point where there's a lot of people who imitate Divine's like mannerisms, and but I don't think they imitate her eating dog shit off the ground.
No. And the thing about that is like the funny thing is he said like he's like, I did it because it was written in the script. I'm like, you did it because it was written in the script? He's like, I'm not an avid shit eater. I don't like to eat shit. I just did it because it's supposed to be in the movie. I was like, what the fuck? And he said that like it got out of hand where people were like thinking like, oh, let's talk about dogs and dog shit at like a party I'm at because they think that's something I find interesting or stuff. It's like, no, I just did it for the movie. He's like,
Do it for the
I
fucking
don't like
vibe.
eating shit. I'm like, you didn't have to eat the shit, but that's cool as hell that you did.
Dude, imagine RuPaul's Drag Race does a fucking Pink Flamingos episode.
And
God.
it ends on that shock image, and Moonman ends on a shock image. I don't really want to spoil what it is, but I was like, damn, I'm surprised I didn't see this before. And it's so similar.
I still have friends that talk about that shock image in your film, by the way.
Yeah.
I pulled that out and showed it to a group of people, and I think just kind of looked at me.
Yeah. And it's funny that the marbles, they're worried about being filthier than divine, even though they're the ones inseminating and killing women in a basement to give babies up for adoption. I think you've got it on lock that you're filthier than divine. Divine's just living her greasy life, chilling.
Well, Divine's not doing anything malicious except for being a fucking petty criminal. Like,
yeah.
They're fucking sex trafficking. Like,
and they're sending her shit in the mail that he's been saving for like months. Like, imagine how nasty that would be. That's pretty fucked.
I don't want to imagine that.
And to be fair, if someone sent me shit in the mail, they would pay.
My mom sent a shitty baby diaper to my mom's brother.
Why?
Her brother. They were sending. It was like a war. It was like in the 90s. They sent my shitty diaper, and like her brother sent like a bloody nose tissue in the mail. For some reason, you can get before 9/11, you could send whatever you fucking wanted.
Yeah. Jesus.
That's fucking crazy.
Well, you still get away with it sometimes, aka bathwater from Belle Delphine and shit.
Man, sometimes
you got in trouble for it, but filth.
Yeah, I'm looking at the music that's on this.
And dirty panties and shit,
There's so many fucking iconic songs that are tainted.
And it's just perfectly like juxtaposed to the filth that's going on.
Apparently 16 Candles was in the originals 1972 cut, and they didn't get permission on it, so happy birthday baby was the switch off or whatever.
I like that the Eggman comes back and he's like, I'm gonna marry you. I'm gonna take care of you. He's gonna bring her 50 eggs a day when they're married.
No, we've met fucking high school couples that look like that.
50 eggs. And like she doesn't eat, like, even during Divine's birthday party, she's just eating eggs the whole time.
It is the second most iconic egg character in a movie for me, though. First is fucking Clerks, the guy who sucks on eggs.
Oh yeah, the guy who like inspects eggs and shit. But I thought we were gonna say Gaston from Beauty and the Beast.
No, fuck that guy.
He eats like 4 dozen eggs every day or whatever.
Just to get large.
I guess she eats more eggs than him.
She's fucking huge too. I bet she could fuck up Gaston.
She can suck those eggs, dude.
She's in a lot of John Waters films though.
Yeah.
Up until her death.
Yeah.
Which this is one of those casts where you're like, how many of these motherfuckers are still alive because of like the debaucherous shit? And surprisingly more than I thought. Yeah. There's about 4 that are dead. One of them from one of the guy who plays Raymond, the blue-haired guy.
Yeah.
He smoked PCP and then thought he was invincible and slit his wrists.
Jesus, dude.
Fucking like a few years after this movie. It was like he was like on a bad PCP trip, and then fucking I think it was Cotton, I want to say. No. It's Crackers. Crackers is also dead.
Okay.
And then a few others. But surprisingly, John Watt is still alive and kicking.
Yeah.
And looks great for his fucking age.
It looks great. Now,
he's got his new movie that just came out, Smoking Causes Cancer. That just got released. It looks like fucking Kamen Riders. It's fucking weird vibe to it.
He said the hardest thing he's ever done was quit smoking. He quit smoking in 2004. And, he says that's the only thing that the government has not lied about is smoking being dangerous.
That's
I was
fair.
like, hell yeah, dude. But the guy who plays Raymond, he's fucking nuts. That scene where him and his wife are like naked sucking feet is so fucking funny to me. and they're so gnarly. Like they're both like really skinny and shit, and I don't know, it just works.
This film is tweaker chic, dude. This
yeah,
is
tweaker
it's
chic,
tweaker
dude.
chic. It's essentially just like because I coming from the state of good old Arkansas, and being in the scene of like music and stuff, you meet your fair share of some pretty twacked out weird individuals, and I can imagine meeting, maybe not knowingly these type of depraved acts, but meet people who've done some pretty fucking shameless shit like this.
It's cool as hell that they were down to do shit like this for the movie. But yeah, like I don't know. And then crackers. That's fucking crazy as hell. Like that first of all, this movie has unsimulated fucking fellatio. Gay fellatio.
Which is insane.
Insane.
Time.
And then once again, it's film registry fucking criteria, dude.
Yeah, that's fucking blowing my mind. That
And there's a cut that cuts that out, but this is the regular cut. Yeah, and it's funnier because in the movie it's mom and son, dude. It just escalates, and he's like almost begging for it and stuff, and which adds to the depravity. But like if you I feel like if you got past the asshole spreading, you still weren't out, this might be the final scene. I don't know.
we've done a lot on the cast lately about fucking parents. Like we had this Funeral Parade of Roses, fucking Blue Velvet, just the past month, and it's like a lot of incest in that era. I don't know.
True.
Very Freudian.
Incest is
Fuck my
interesting.
parents.
I find incest to be fascinating in that way. Like Old Boy is a fucking horrible reveal, but spoilers. But it's such a taboo subject that when it does happen in film, it's almost like captivating to me because it is so taboo. But usually it's done very gracefully through these kinds of films. This is just like, no, it's just trash. It's just
This is like searching up on fucking YouPorn.
It's so fucking and then
porn.
And then it's when I was rewatching this and Divine starts sucking his dick. That's when I like had the remembrance of that scene in that Chipmunk sequel where Alvin says, I have seen Pink Flamingos to John Waters. And then when I watched that scene now, I was like, what the fuck kind of shit is this?
Alvin wants his tiny little chipmunk wiener sucked by John Waters.
But it was like, of all movies to reference, like, did the director, like, has he actually seen this movie, or did he just want to make a silly reference like that because he's heard it's fucked up? Because I was trying to look for connections I was like, why does John Waters have a cameo in this Chipmunks Chip Road movie or whatever? Weird. I couldn't figure it out. The director like directed like dog crap like this and like Old Dogs and like just a bunch of fucking studio crap, and I was like, maybe it's the writers. I could not find any connections, but I was like, I couldn't help but say that the Chipmunks is based for referencing this in one of their movies. Like, what the fuck?
The only modicum of fucking being based in those films.
God, that is an insane thing. Why is Alvin like, that's such a weird joke? People spreading their assholes in this movie. Fellatio, chicken.
A horny joke for a fucking kids movie.
Like who's gonna get that other than me? I don't know. But I do like when the police show up to the place and then you think, okay, there's gonna be a shootout. No, they all just attack them and then they eat them. Like, it's so absurd. It's like, how do you get fucking pissed off at that? Like, it's the same thing with like the selling babies out of the basement. It's too fucking stupid to get mad at.
Yeah, no, this is like essential. It's very like classic comedy tropes mixed in with just the most depraved shit ever.
Yeah, and that's why it really works to me, is exactly that.
No, I'm sure that was absolutely the intent, and of course, we're still talking about it today. What, 50 years later?
Yeah, it's and it's still shocking, even though we've become more and more desensitized through film and stuff. But that's the thing, is like we've become desensitized through violence mostly, and fucked up imagery like Martyrs and stuff like that, other movies. But when it comes to sexual acts, it's still so like taboo, and that's so interesting to me that we like because we got up to a point with like Deep Throat and other movies like that where like they were trying to kind of normalize unsimulated sex and penetration in the movies, thinking that Hollywood would go that far, and then it kind of, there was like this big pushback, and it never got farther than that. I'm not saying unsimulated sex should be commonplace in theatrical films, but I am saying like there was a definite point in the 70s where that just fucking stopped, and mainstream audiences rejected going that far with quote unquote filth and sexuality and stuff.
It's
Now
like super rare, and like that's like a big selling point for a lot of films that they
it's a
have that
big
now.
taboo still today to have unsimulated sex acts in your
What
fucking
the
film.
last one was Nymphomaniac, and even then it was like
They used body
unsimulated
doubles.
sex with body doubles.
Yeah, and I
We're just
remember
pussies.
that, and to be fair, when that came out, I didn't know who Lars von Trier was. So yeah, that's the reason I checked out, because I was like, whoa, they have unsimulated sex, and that sounds crazy that they would do that. And so that's what brought me to that film. And obviously, you know, Gaspar and him are pushing boundaries today, but a lot of, and it is kind of gray area, because I don't know, it's hard to sometimes, even in simulated sex acts, sometimes on set it can be kind of shaky with what people are comfortable with while filming and stuff, and it would be, especially now, it would be very possibly risky to film something with unsimulated, and then what if they are uncomfortable, and then shit happens, and then suddenly now it's assault or something like that. I don't know. But I do think that it's weird that we Americans, but also to an extent everywhere else, is still so like afraid of sexual taboo in films. And I get, you turn on a film, you may not want to watch a mom and a son fellatio or whatever,
Yeah,
but
they
it's
do.
kind of like the funniness of like how absurd and stupid it is. But also, I'm quote unquote, I'm a fucked up guy. I don't want to be like a Redditor, like, yeah, I watch fucked up shit. But like, it is funny how today it is still very like, whoa, real pushing of that.
No, I don't think there's ever been a movie that's kind of done this.
Well, no, there's
Yeah.
Solo 120 Days of Sodom, which
That's
is,
different though. That's not a comedy.
no, I know it's not a comedy.
That's
I'm
like
just saying, like, that was a very influential film. He loves that movie like a lot. And there's fucked up movies that are more serious than this, like Irreversible and stuff like that. But
but there's never been anything that's been able to
but it's
match
like,
the campiness and like
yeah,
disgustingness of this movie.
that we've seen. I mean, there's probably smaller shit, more obscure shit out
A
there.
Serbian film.
Yeah, that's
movie.
just shock for shock's sake.
Dude, I was reading here though that there was intentions for a sequel.
Yeah,
called
but
Flamingos Forever, and Divine refused to be involved.
yeah, it's too, it doesn't work 15, 20 years later when if it was like higher budget, and like it's just it works because it's this greasy, no budget local actor kind of thing. That's why it has the aesthetic it has. That's why it works. If it was like this big production, it would just feel fake. It's kind of like the problem. Some of the later seasons of Trailer Park Boys are good and some are bad, but there is a loss of some of the aesthetic when they switch to like 4K cameras, because it's this greasy
absolutely park. And when
and
they start giving Bubbles more lines,
it doesn't look right when it's in 4K and there's obvious sets and stuff like that.
Yeah, I hyper agree.
So I'm glad they didn't make a sequel to this. It would be kind of phony, I think. Even John Waters even if I trust the guy. And
Oh
I
shit,
don't
this
know.
was just recently added to the Criterion collection, like last year,
Oh yeah, that's
June
cool.
28th, 2022,
Yeah,
with a new
based
4K restoration.
um
Got a 4K version of this. I'm honestly glad I didn't watch it in 4K. It was enough the graininess of that, watching people get castrated and
yeah, the fucking
God.
yeah. That's funny as fuck. But it also like this movie also has a very famous scene. This is the reason I saw the movie, because when I was younger, back when Tumblr was popular, I would see a lot of GIF sets and like like pictures and scenes from a lot of cult movies, and I would always write them down and stuff, and I would find a lot of underground films because of Tumblr and the people that I followed, these fucking niche weirdo fucking
One
me.
Car Y. That's how I figured
Oh
out
yeah,
who.
One Car Y was huge on Tumblr. But I remember the scene that was always going around is when the press comes to the to her execution of the marbles,
Oh yeah, that's my
and
favorite.
she's like, condone first degree murder, advocate cannibalism, eat shit,
It's
go,
perfect.
all that. And that is like probably, other than the shit eating, is like the most popular thing, because she's wearing like the red dress and all that.
It's the most iconic thing from the movie.
Yeah, and of course it's been appropriated by certain like groups on the internet, but it's definitely iconic in that way. So it has its impact even today. And I want fucked up midnight movies to come back, more so, kind of like and it's hard for me to tell what state those kinds of movies are, like local kind of movies, because this really blew up in Baltimore. They really embraced it, kind of like well, to a different extent, Philadelphia embracing Rocky. I know that's a completely different thing,
I
but
mean, it's kind of on brand because Baltimore fucking sucks.
I don't know. It's just like, once again, I wish I lived in an area that had this kind of connection, and like, I don't know.
Hoping when I move up to Fayetteville to help cultivate more of a, like, because we do these things at a venue where we watch indie cult films once a week in the fall, where it's a massive outdoor screen. You bring your chairs, your blankets and stuff. You have food vendors and things like that.
That's
Like,
cool.
that's where I did my Rocky Horror watching last year.
Sick.
And I know the guy, I've been talking to the guy who runs it for, giving him, like, we've been talking ideas and stuff like that. So hopefully now that I'm making, yeah, officially going to be making the move up there soon. I'm trying to cultivate some scene in Northwest Arkansas for some weird shit.
Yeah. And again, some of the funnier shit in this movie isn't, what I'm saying is there's a good blend of just classic humor and also the absurdist. But my favorite joke in the movie is when the marbles, they return and they figured out that the girls have escaped the basement, and Raymond's pissed and he's like screaming, "I'll call the police," because they ran off. Some reason that really got me.
There's a lot of camp in this. There's a lot of
Yeah, I know. That's why it
weird, like
works.
really good, like old school. I would even say Stooges humor at some point, and like just wacky, zany, ooh, 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 ooh
That's
type
why it
shit.
works. Yeah. And
But
going back to sexual taboo, I get why there is pushback and why, but I feel like Puritan values have infiltrated American society more and more
fuck,
every year.
here it is.
But there's also gray area, because that movie Deep Throats, that woman who was doing these acts in Deep Throat was like, no, I was raped during this. This is, if you watch this movie, I'm being raped. And so I can definitely see why that was like a catalyst. And
I didn't know that. That's kind of
yeah,
that's
it's
for sure.
fucking gnarly. I've seen that movie too, and then I didn't know that. And I was like, fuck. So But all in good fun though. Like when Divine does it, I think is hilarious, and it's okay to watch an NC-17 movie. And that's the thing is like NC-17 really for even has trouble today. Like if your movie gets NC-17, it's like, okay, well, you're not getting a theatrical release. Everyone acts like it's taboo to watch. And it's like, well, what's the point of the NC-17 rating if it's an instant death for the movie?
Yeah, it's a dead for the fucking film.
It's gotten a little better. Like that Marilyn Monroe movie that I didn't watch because I heard it was a
Because
problematic
it's
portrayal.
bad.
I
Really
just
fucking
didn't want to
sucks.
see that kind of shit. I think it's based that there's like a singing or like talking unborn fetus or something in that movie. That's crazy as fuck. But I just wasn't interested in that portrayal. But it was in C-17 and it didn't. It came out on Netflix. It may have had a small theatrical release though. I'm not sure because I know Netflix has a contract or like some sort of agreement with Cinemark. A lot of their films, some of their films, will have like a week or two distribution in Cinemark theaters exclusively. Like Red Notice, and then what's it called? We Saw Together, Glass Onion, stuff like that.
Yeah, they
But
seem to be
but I'm
trying
not
to.
sure. Yeah, it's like NC-17.
Pinocchio had it.
Oh yeah, but it's
I
like
think
even today,
what
the NC-17 rating is still such a mark of death. That's like, what's the
it
point?
better to release it just as an unrated version at that point. And
I think it's really unconventional to release an unrated movie in theaters. Well,
well,
no, I saw Skinamarink. That was not
yeah,
rated.
I think it's becoming more of a thing, especially because websites pick them up now that are unrated and don't have a
Yeah.
rating. And I think the main reason why Netflix and HBO and them are sending movies to the theaters so they could be considered during a reward season.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Um, I was looking at like old NC-17 films that I remember. Remember Debbie Does Dallas?
Spit on Your Grave. Uh,
Debbie
I
Does
think is
Dallas
one.
is one I remember as a kid. I say kid, I shouldn't have watched it that young.
Debbie Does Dallas. That's funny. There's a episode of King of the Hill that parodies that name. It's
Yeah, Debbie Does Dallas is just about a
Nancy Does Dallas.
the plot of the film focused on a team of cheerleaders attempting to earn enough money to send the title character to Dallas, Texas, to try out for the famous Texas Cowgirls squad, cheerleading squad. You know how they do it? By fucking people for money.
Of course.
It's iconic.
Um, yeah, it's a shame Divine died pretty early, in his like 40s, I think 42 or something.
It was like 13 years after this.
Yeah, Harrison Milstead, I think is his name. And it was like 3 weeks after Hairspray, which was like a pretty publicly, successful movie, a major departure from what Waters usually did. Like I said, like this Hairspray is PG compared to like most shit, which is rated NC-17 or X. I guess back in the day it was rated X. I know he did Cry Baby, which is also a cult classic, but also a bit tamer, I'd say, than this.
God, looking at the high school yearbook photo of Divine.
Yeah. He died,
Kind
of heart failure in his sleep, which is really scary to me to go to sleep and never wake up. But I don't want to get into that existential area.
Well, there was a lot of amphetamines that had gone through this man's body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
that weakens the heart.
yeah. That's why I can't do hard drugs, ladies and gentlemen, because I have a blood disorder and I can't do shit like that. So,
This guy's probably done 10 times the amount of drugs that any of my friends have ever done.
Yeah. But, his cultural impact is astounding for someone who made fucked up movies and was a drag queen. And that was, back when drag queens weren't as commonplace or as respected. And unfortunately, the fight for drag queens is still running strong today. Hopefully it gets better. But things aren't looking so bright around these parts. If you're from Europe, it's pretty bad right now in America for LGBT and drag queens. There's a lot of people doubling down on anti-trans, anti-drag, this and that.
It's all the distance themselves when it's the church leaders who are fucking your kids.
So really, we need fucked up movies like this more than ever to really piss people off. It just needs to
Honestly.
be done in like a way that's not just completely contrived.
We need a story about Mother Mary, but Mary is played by a drag queen.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Great film, culturally significant. We'll never watch again.
I'll definitely watch this again. As a maker of fucked up movies, I suggest everyone show their friend this movie just to fucking see how they act, because that's always a fun time. Bring it to Meemaw's house for Thanksgiving. Put it on. I love shit like this, man. I love when people are like, you test boundaries. Even me, this tests my boundaries too with the chicken shit. But you know, sometimes it's good to get a little offended. That's all I'm
I
gonna
also
say.
think I like knowing where my boundaries are, and my boundaries will stay.
Sure, that's perfectly fine.
I'm not into scat. I'm not into animal abuse. I'm not into prolapses. I realize pretty solid in my boundaries there.
Those are respectable boundaries, I will say. So yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Next week is gonna be a lot more not as offensive, I'd say. It
Get
depends
ready
on
for me to be as patriotic as I'll ever be on this fucking cast.
I don't think so. The next film we're gonna do is Paths of Glory, Kubrick, one of his earlier films. Not really earlier, more of like mid-career.
Wasn't Paths of Glory before Doctor Strangelove?
Was it before or after? I
think
can't
it's
remember.
I think it's a second film, isn't it?
No, it's not second.
What? Because he had Spartacus, and what did he have?
Spartacus, Lolita. We don't talk about
Yeah.
Spartacus and Lolita. Not that they're, it's just like, it's like Paths of Glory and Doctor Strangelove is when you're like, oh shit, this guy's a fucking master.
Strangelove is still a top 10.
But yeah, we'll talk more about Paths of Glory next week. It might be a little more tasteful episode. So yeah, look forward to that.
We're gonna have something special for the 100th episode coming up.
Yeah, we've totally got it completely planned out. We know exactly what we're doing. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Normally I don't like doing call to actions, but Scott keeps pushing me to do it. So if you want to share, or like, or subscribe, even though I hate those three words,
hit that. See that button right there? Hit that.
Just do it. We've been growing a little bit this year, and it's been nice, and we'd like to grow stronger. I'd like to start putting out more other things like your good old video essays, stuff like that. So I'd like to really expand the channel. I have a lot of ideas, but I can't commit to it until we actually have a big enough following to make it, worth my money and time. Not to say y'all aren't worth it. I'm just saying, like, right now I work a lot, and I can only commit to this show right now, but we could expand if we get more likes and subscribers.
One of these days we'll have merch with my face on it, and then you can buy that, and we'll make a lot of money.
Yeah, okay.
Sad Casher. We'll do Sad Casher shirts.
No one knows what you're referencing.
But they will once we finally bring.
Yeah, we'll put up we'll put up embarrassing photos of our friends without their consent as merchandise, and then not give them any of the money. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. See you next week.